be recognized today, although I have to admit that it came as a little bit of a shock when I realized that I've reached the age now where I'm considered distinguished. To be honest, I always thought distinguished was just a polite way of saying old. Being here in this room with so many fresh young faces, I will tell you I'm feeling very, very distinguished right now. But if being distinguished comes with perks like this lovely event, I guess it's not so bad. So thank you, thank you, thank you. In all seriousness, let me start by saying that I love the Daily Tar Heel. I can honestly say that I would not be standing here today, I would not be doing what I'm doing had it not been for my DTH experience. And as you heard, my time at the Daily Tar Heel was a little different than what some of you probably experienced. As a non-traditional, slightly older student who is a transfer student and a single mom, you know, I often felt very disconnected and isolated from the traditional college experience. And so it was hard to make friends. It was hard to feel connected to what was happening on campus. I had very little time for socializing, much less for sleeping. I was constantly juggling schoolwork and childcare and working paid jobs to try to help take care of my sweet Andrew, who's over here today. I really wanted to be a reporter. I knew it in my bones that it was something, it was my calling, it was my passion from the very first time I wrote a story. But I also knew the only way that was going to happen was for me to get enough experience and to be able to get an internship and then eventually a job. So I saved my money, I cobbled together enough scholarships and grants and loans to allow me to quit working full-time while going to school full-time so that I could join the DTH full-time during my senior year. And from the moment I walked into those offices, like I said up here, I felt like I was at home. I felt like I had found my people. They were curious, funny, and focused, and passionate, and they challenged and supported each other in equal measure. My DTH colleagues not only taught me what it meant to be a journalist, but some of them actually helped take care of my 5-year-old son while I was doing interviews, writing stories, writing headlines, editing stories. Some read him stories. Some took him to get pizza or Chick-fil-A, Erica, for dinner breaks. Others helped him with homework or played games with him. Andrew used to run around the office with a Post-it notepad, and every time he heard someone use a bad word, he would write them a ticket. As you might imagine, there were quite a few tickets issued. He often slept on that nasty old sofa in his office, more than a few occasions, and I will say not exactly my finest moment as a mom, but he survived it, and it was nasty. I mean, let's just I don't know if there's a nasty sofa now like that one, but it was this one. Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess every student needs to have to have that nasty old sofa, but most of them don't have kids sleeping on it. But he survived it, and I think he's no worse for the wear. There you go. Yeah. The Daily Tar Heel was not just an extracurricular activity for me or for most of us. It was a crucible where we honed our collective craft and forged lifelong friendships. It was here that I discovered the adrenaline rush that comes with a big breaking news story, the powerful impact that an investigative story can have on people's lives and on public policy, and the profound difference that journalism can make in the communities we serve. My time at the DTH helped me gain the confidence that I needed to charge into the journalism world and blaze my own path. But it also gave me a professional community of people I still lean on and who still continue to help me grow, some of whom who are here today. As we gather today to celebrate the 131-year legacy for the Daily Tar Heel and its very rich tradition of quality student journalism, I just want to take a moment to recognize and celebrate the students who've had to overcome big personal challenges to be part of that tradition. Whether it was navigating the craziness of the pandemic, financial challenges, family concerns, health or personal challenges, these are not easy days to be a student, much less a student journalist. So for those of you who've had to fight extra hard to be part of this legacy, I see you. I was you. And I know that struggle, and I'm here to tell you that the personal and professional resilience that you've built along the way will serve you well in your life and in your career. We all need a ready reserve of that resilience right now. The pace of change is increasing exponentially. And that resilience makes you better at bouncing back from setbacks, finding creative solutions to problems, to innovating and being willing to take calculated risks. It also fosters empathy and compassion toward others who've had to overcome in some way. I also want to recognize that the disruptive industry forces that I faced as a young J school grad pale in comparison to the ones that the next generation of journalists will face. I graduated just as this newfangled internet thing was becoming something that we had to pay attention to. News organizations were just beginning to think about setting up web pages. We still use dial-up ISPs like America Online, You've Got Mail, to get to the email or to connect to the wider world. I remember being required to take a class my senior year. That first year, Professor Deb Icott was teaching. Where he made us learn to code web pages using HTML. And I remember thinking, what on earth? I'm going to be a newspaper reporter. Why do I need to learn to do something with a website? Like, it was just like out of my mind. Little did I know that my whole career would become about helping to lead organizations who were seeking to transform for a digital era. That technological shift has defined my career path and the paths of all in my generation. And today's graduates are facing an equally seismic shift as the development of generative AI marks another cultural and technological inflection point that's going to change the form and function of media and journalism for years to come. And all of this is happening at a moment of great economic uncertainty in the media landscape. We're facing a number of existential questions that this generation of journalists, many of you in this room, are going to be compelled to answer. Questions like, what are the business models that will sustainably support quality local journalism, public service journalism that serves communities large and small? Can we rebuild, or in some cases, establish for the first time, trust with diverse audiences and communities in an era of disinformation and political polarization? And how will these rapid advances in generative AI transform how we produce and how people consume news and information in the years to come? These are just a few of the questions that I'm wrestling with right now, daily, in my role as Chief News Officer at McClatchy. And I'm going to be the first person to tell you these are complex, systemic challenges without easy answers. It often feels like each time we think we figured out some piece of this puzzle, the landscape shifts and we are scrambling once again. We're scrambling to figure it out all over again. And I fear that's not going to get easier in the years to come, but it doesn't make it any less important or that we have to keep working to get there. It absolutely is critical. I moved into my new role with McClatchy last year after more than 25 years of leadership in local newsrooms nationwide. And being Chief News Officer means I'm responsible for our overall audience and content strategy and newsroom operations in 30 communities in 15 states. That means I have an incredible privilege of leading more than 900 journalists, and all of them are focused on helping to build a sustainable future for local news in the communities we serve. Every day, I get a close-up view of just what a difference local news organizations can make in their communities. For example, local journalists at the Kansas City Star have been on a roller coaster in recent weeks as they covered the Kansas City Chiefs' back-to-back Super Bowl win and then a celebration that ended in bloodshed. More than 20 people were shot. A young mother lost her life. The Kansas City newsroom was there for all of it, from Travis and Taylor to Mahomes' mastery and Andy Reid's genius, to a party disguised as a parade, and then to gunfire and fear and death. They produced coloring books and do-it-yourself valentines that answered fans' questions. They set up a parade booth to share in the joy and give away newspapers. They chronicled the spoils of yet another title through words and pictures. And then, when it was required of them, they pivoted in an instant to provide news and information that helped their community process the trauma. They wrote of the shared horror and began to help try to make sense of what had happened for their community. Local news can serve as a heartbeat in a healthy community, a bridge between the government and the governed, providing citizens with information they need to be engaged and informed participants in the democratic process. Local journalists hold power to account and connect people and communities to each other. Local journalists serve as community watchdogs, alerting the public to issues and concerns that can lead to policy changes. and they provide real-time critical information to residents in times of crisis, whether that's a pandemic or a hurricane or one of the too many tragic mass shootings that happen in communities like Kansas City and Chapel Hill. Local news informs us, it educates us, it empowers us to make decisions that shape our communities and nation, and in growing swaths of our country, local news is disappearing. Or rather, the business model that has sustained local news outlets like the ones that I work with that have been serving these communities for 100 or 150 or even 200 years has imploded. Every week, an average of 3 local newspapers close their doors in the US. 3. Every week, journalists who have dedicated their lives to serving their communities are laid off. And that is a really hard pill to swallow. Not just because it hurts people that I know and that I love and that I care about and respect and admire, but because it hurts those communities and it hurts those readers. My purpose, my why, is to do all that I can to help rebuild that business model and the way we do journalism to allow us to continue serving communities in ways that will be sustainable and that will help strengthen our democracy and the health and well-being of those who live in these communities. That's a big mission. It's a big why, and it's one that I share with so many other journalists and leaders across the country who are fighting for the future of credible, quality local journalism. None of us has all the answers to this, because there's not one answer to that sustainability question. There's many roads that lead there, many different paths and approaches that will light the way. I am so grateful to be joined by many passionate journalists and leaders in this journey, and I want to shout out a couple who are here. I'm so proud of the work that my DTH era StatNet assistant editor and dear friend Erica Perel and her team at the UNC Center for Innovation and Sustainability in Local Media are doing to give local news organizations the tools they need to transform, to grow, and to thrive. I'm going to... Table Stakes program has been essential to so many new and old media organizations that are working to build that path to sustainability, and I'm really proud of her and all that she's doing. And there's my friend, Sharif Durhams, the managing editor at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He and his colleagues are working to redefine what it means to be a regional news organization in a digital era, and one that represents and serves all people in all parts of the community. Distinguished. So I've decided that if I must be distinguished, at least I'm in good company. He's also distinguished, so he's the granddaddy of all of the distinguished journalists in this room, so thank you. I also want to take a moment to shout out all of the McClatchy journalists, past and present, who are here today, including our current NNO editor, Bill Church. Woo. Different connections, so both past and present McClatchy colleagues have played an important role in the transformation, in our transformation thus far, and I'm so grateful to stand on the shoulders of so many who serve their communities well. While I'm expressing some gratitude, y'all just need to allow me a point of personal privilege here to say thank you to my family members who are here. Whatever success I've had in my career is largely due to the sacrifices that they've made along the way. In the last 28 years, we've moved to 10 different cities and 7 states, all for my professional opportunities. And along the way, I missed far too many important moments and milestones while I worked late, with breaking news, or some other operational crisis. You heard a little bit about my oldest son, Andrew, who was a big part of my DTH journey. I am so proud of the man that he has grown into. And he flew in from Atlanta to be here today, so thank you, baby. He asked who had been yelled at by Stacy. Andrew stood up. He is joined by his younger brother, Avery, who is my heart, and I love you both so much. My niece, Carrie, who is my girl in a sea of boys, is also here. And I couldn't really have done anything that I've done without my partner in all things, my husband of 26 years, Kevin Carter. Kevin's a recovering journalist. I don't know what step he's in that. He sometimes goes back and forth. But he left daily journalism to be a stay-at-home dad for 15 years. for our kids as they were growing up. He not only kept our family balanced, but he also helped keep my sanity. So thank you, sweetheart. You've always been there for me. Okay, now that's done. I've said my thank yous. I'm going to close by extending my heartfelt gratitude, truly, for the Daily Tar Heel for nurturing my passion for journalism and instilling in me the values that continue to guide my work today. I hope that as we all navigate the uncertain terrain ahead, and it is uncertain, we don't know where it's going to take us, that each one of us is able to hold fast to those values, integrity, courage, and the relentless pursuit of truth. And that we never lose sight of the profound impact that journalism in all of its forms can have on shaping our communities and the world around us. So thank you, and go Heels. Go Heels!